Good morning again. This is Scott Tanker, host of Breakfast with the Boss. We're here each and every Thursday from 9:30 to 10 and 10 to 10:30 on rvntv.tv. Why are we here? We're here to help you understand the things in life that you don't normally understand. Last session we had an elder care attorney, and other sessions we have life coaches, we have accountants, we have people who can help you with your diet, we have people who can just help you with your life, business or professional or personal. That's what we're all about. Breakfast with the Boss. I'm not the boss, my guests are. And today, I have a really, really interesting guest because you guys, and I tell you, me either, don't really understand the world of government relations and government support and basically political action type committee work. I have an attorney here, David Schwartz from New York. How you doing, David?
Great to see you. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure. David, I got to tell you, I'm old, I've been around, I've met a lot of attorneys, never met an attorney like you. Never met a guy who does the kind of stuff you do. So we're going to go forward because I want everybody to understand how you got to where you are and what it is that you do that helps people.
Yeah, so I am unique. In fact, I'm the only attorney in all of New York who's a registered lobbyist and a trial attorney at the same time. So I try cases, I try a lot of criminal cases,
right.
Commercial cases, but I also have a lobbying government relations practice. So our lobbying government relations practice is Gotham Government Relations and Communications, and our law firm is Gerstman Schwartz LLP. My partner Brad Gerstman and I, back in 2009, started both companies. Brad's a former prosecutor as well. He's in the Bronx. I was a former prosecutor in Brooklyn, New York for 4 years, and this was during the high crime era of the 90s. So it wasn't like today. So we had.
Is that Giuliani? I'm just wondering.
It was.
It was a little bit of Giuliani, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So Giuliani started in 93.
Right.
Okay. That's when I started in the Brooklyn DA's office. Crime was at an all-time high through the and it even ticked up through 95, and that's when it started going down.
Right.
But crime was everywhere. We had 2,100 homicides in New York City. I had a felony caseload of over 100 cases. Do you know how crazy that is? You should only have a felony caseload of 20 cases. That meant all 100 cases were trial-ready cases. Any one of them could have gone to trial. So I would have 7, 8 cases on a day. I wouldn't even know what case would go to trial. So we were just going to trial.
That doesn't seem right.
There was so much crime back then, and we had limited. We had 600 attorneys. But we had well over 100,000 arrests every single year in Brooklyn. It was, and I went through the system. We were in the investigations.
Just Brooklyn alone, 100,000 arrests.
Right, 100, and
Brooklyn.
Just Brooklyn. Yeah. And I was in the investigations bureau. That's when we rode cases for 24 hours straight.
Right.
Every big case in Brooklyn. So homicides, East New York. I was in apartments with blood all over the walls, and I was with the detectives. It was the greatest job of my life. It really was. But, okay, I had a daughter. She was 6 months old, and I had to go out and make money, right?
Because working for the government's wonderful, but it doesn't do everything for you.
It doesn't do everything for you. I love that job. But then I went out. I had a criminal defense practice, a litigation practice, high volume, tried a lot of cases. And then as we went along, then I joined the big firm, and then Brad and I, who I know from law school, we hooked up in 2009. We said we were both political, and we said we could start the best lobbying firm in all of New York.
Okay, stop. What's a lobbying firm?
Okay.
People need to know what that is.
Lobbyists have bad reputations, right? It's a bad
reputation. Like an annuity. Bad reputation.
No one likes the law because you know why? The lobbyists are their own worst lobbyists. Okay, so here's what lobbying really is to me. When you do it correctly, you do it ethically, and you do it correctly. Right. It's about advocacy.
Right.
Okay? Lobbying is about advocacy. So where you represent a client, you become their advocate. I am their connection to their government.
When you're in a hospital, you need an advocate when you're in a hospital that talks the language of the people you're talking to.
Exactly.
And this is what I think you're referring to. I don't think people understand this.
They don't understand this.
It's a communication issue that two parties want the same thing, but they don't know how to communicate.
This is an honorable profession, and you don't have to be a lawyer to be a lobbyist, but it's a good idea because you have to understand how to draft legislation and understand how legislation affects people, and also how administrative agencies affect people also. For instance, I represent the bodegas in New York City. Right. Most of them can't even speak English, okay? How do you expect them to communicate with their government, okay? These are hardworking people. They work 20 hours a day,
right,
and they need to communicate with their government. Why? Because every law under the sun adversely affects their business. Everything from health department to this department to traffic, you name it. They're constantly, I mean, I can name you beer issues, cigarette issues, whatever they sell in those stores, there are issues that affect them. Right. They need me.
They don't understand the game. So
they don't understand the game. So that's an example. And okay, we represent special needs schools. Okay,
which I think is really, really important these days.
We're their advocate. You know, you would think that the New York State Department of Education, state ed, you know, works with these schools. No, they're obstructionists. Okay, and well, I'm not afraid to say it. No. They are obstructionists.
It's all about the money they get.
Okay, so we represent clients that are fighting with state ed every single day.
To get what they deserve.
We're their advocates. So that's what lobbying really is. It's about passing legislation for clients. It's about defending against legislation for other clients. It's about fighting with administrative agencies. We represent construction companies. We fight with the Department of Buildings all the time, and that's really what, for me, that's what we have some Washington D.C. issues. But for me, if you do it right, it's an honorable profession. It's an honorable piece of the law.
You know, David, I just find what you do to be the epitome of communications. It's what because you can be totally in disagreement with somebody, but you got to work through it. You got to talk through it. You can't walk away from these things. If you have a wife or a child, you walk away, you go away, and you know, things settle down. But you have to do things to make changes. I want you folks to stay with us because I'm with David Schwartz. He is an incredible attorney in the state of New York and also in New Jersey that not only does attorney work for prosecutions and litigation and things, but he helps lobbyists, people get things that the government doesn't get, that he pushes through. Stay with us. We'll be back after these messages.
When did you see the sign?
When I needed to jumpstart sales. Build attendance for an event.
Help people find their way. Fast Signs designed new directional signage.
And got them back on track. Get started at fastsigns.com.
Hi, I'm Sylvia, the wine entrepreneur, host of a brand new show called Cooked and Uncorked on RVN TV. Every week at noon on Wednesday, we're going to introduce a brand new wine or spirit with a different chef and their cuisine. It's going to be an exciting way to learn how to pair your food, to sip wine from around the world, and to have a good time. Be there or you might miss your next great wine or your next great meal.
Got a quarter?
Welcome back. This is Scott Tanker, host of Breakfast with the Boss. I'm with David Schwartz, who's the CEO, if you will, the founding partner of Gotham Government Relations and Communications. And what we were talking about was government doesn't always agree with the people, and people oftentimes don't agree with the government. And it's more than, if you don't agree with them, it doesn't mean you're going to get your way. You have to lobby.
Yes.
And that's the beautiful word. You have to lobby for their attention to give them the information that makes them say, oh, you know what? You're right. We need to adjust this situation. And that's what a lobbyist does. Right. It's not the kind of person that you always hear in the news. He gave $200 million to this guy, and this is the grassroots government that we have, government efforts that we have to get what we need. I should say public efforts that we get to get what we need from the government. Now, you went to school, but you didn't have your aha moment doing this. So where was your aha moment? You said, you know what? I can really help people doing this stuff.
Okay, so, So I became a litigator. I was in the Brooklyn DA's office. Right. My aha moment was criminal law. And I'm still very passionate about criminal law. But it's a young man's sport. It really does, after you try a lot of cases, it gets to you after a while. I remember trying a murder case out in Staten Island. And it was in the heart of the winter, and I was slugging my files, and it was a very serious case. It was an ex-cop accused of killing ex-cop accused of killing his ex-wife. Right. And it was an awful case. Yeah. And was going to the courthouse. I was getting booed every day,
Right.
you know, which I have thick skin. I could take it.
But still,
and
it wears on you.
And I am a fierce defender of the Sixth Amendment. Okay, the right to counsel, the right to passionate counsel, the right to cross-examine your accusers.
Right.
I believe in that. The right to a fair trial.
Right.
I believe that's withering down as we go along. Now that we're in the social media age, the right to a fair trial in a high publicity
Almost can't
case,
exist.
It doesn't exist, and I'm very saddened about that. But anyway, so the aha moment. I remember that case and saying, you know, I need to make this more boutique and go into, and I love the idea of lobbying. I love the idea of lobbying the right way in the 21st century, all the tools in the tool belt. So it's not just traditional lobbying, where you go door to door, you lobby state senator to state senator, the assembly, and that we do that, and I love the relationships that we have, the ability to go in there and argue the case. And I have to tell you, what you brought, you know, with the money and all this other stuff, a lot of it is overrated. You know, we like to do things the hard way. We go from door to door. All I ask for from my state senators or the assembly people or a judge in court, okay, I ask for one thing. That's to give me a fair hearing. Right. I want a fair hearing for my client. I want to be able to go in there, be the advocate that I am.
Speak your mind.
And get a fair hearing. And then sometimes they're going to be against me, and sometimes they're going to be for me. In fact, yesterday was one of our most successful days ever. We represent all the New York City taxi cabs, the medallion owners. 60% of them are single owner operator cabs,
right.
And they paid $1 million for the right to take street hails in New York City. It's a monopoly, but they paid for that right.
Right.
And then Uber came in and destroyed the entire marketplace. So finally, after 2 years of fighting, we finally got 5 bills passed. One of them is a cap on Uber.
Right.
And that was a real successful effort. When we first started lobbying that, and you talk about money in politics, Uber spends $1 gazillion. Right. No one would even talk to us. But our strategies are that, you know, not just lobbying, but grassroots. What do I mean by grassroots? I mean rallies, press conferences, public relations, nonstop social media. And we've been doing that for a couple of years. And we've really made headway to the point where we finally got through to the mayor, we finally got through to the New York City Council, and we got these 5 bills passed. And I think these 5 bills are going to save the iconic New York City cab, the iconic cab industry. We are going to save that, and we had a huge part in that. And so I'm very proud. And on what makes us unique is the same day, our law firm, we have an active litigation firm, and we won a big case against the city of New York in New York State Supreme Court yesterday. In an Article 78, we represented this plumbing company that was adversely affected by certain New York City agency, and we won. So we had a big win there, and we had a big win with the New York City taxi.
Well, I certainly got you on a nice day, didn't I?
You did. So what's the central theme between those two practices? It's advocacy.
Right.
So whether you're advocating in the halls of the legislature or in New York State Supreme Court or whatever court you're in, it's all about advocacy.
Who do you want to come see you? I mean, I'm trying to, in my mind, who would come see you?
Sure.
We're going to find out how to find you because you're going to let them know that. But who would want to see you? Who out there needs to see you?
Yeah, everybody needs a lobbyist. That's number one. But generally speaking, businesses, trade associations, not-for-profits.
I think trade associations would be a very big deal.
Huge. We have a lot of trade associations. We do a lot of association work. And associations are important because where you have businesses in an industry, and they may even be competitors, they are competitors, right? Whether you're, we represent, we're actually going to start working with the Plumbing Association. It's all plumbers, right? They're all
They compete with each
They
other.
compete with each other, but they have the same
issues.
political issues.
With respect to their business.
Right. We represent the Bus Association, same thing. It's competitive companies, but when it comes to political issues, it's all the same. And same thing with the taxi cabs, although they're not really competing with each other, but they're separate businesses.
In some ways they are.
In an odd kind of way they are.
There's 2 taxi cabs, you got to pick one or the other. They both have medallions, one wins, one doesn't.
Exactly.
So, I want people to know how to get a hold of you. We're going to talk about that. We have another sponsor here that wants to take care of our commercials, because you know how that goes,
Right,
right?
right.
But I find this very, very interesting, and that we can bring it down to the layman's level, where people who have a feeling about something, a passion themselves, that they're not being done right, that they're being done wrong by the government or something like that, whether it be an association, whether it be an individual, whether it be an organization. This is where you can help.
Right.
I want everybody to stay with us, because David's going to tell us some more things about how he can be of some help to you. And of course, he is a litigator, so I'm never going to win an argument with him.
No.
But we'll be back after these messages.
Do you see the sign?
When I needed to jumpstart sales. Build attendance for an event.
Help people find their way. Fast Signs design new directional signage.
And got them back on track. Get started at fastsigns.com.
Hey everyone, this is Donna Valente, sales performance and leadership coach and founder of the Enterprise Sales Institute. Join me every Wednesday at 11 o'clock here with RVN TV on That Sales Show. On this show, we are going to share with you best practices in emotional intelligence, sales process, and sales strategy with some of the industry's biggest thought leaders. So, don't forget, 11 o'clock Wednesday here with RVN TV and That Sales Show.
Got a quarter?
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I just asked David what he does for fun, and he says he eats. Now, I don't get that. He's got to do more than that, Dave.
No,
Come
I
on.
like restaurants.
You need a lobbyist. You like restaurants? You like
But
restaurants?
I like to travel.
Yeah.
I like to eat, but I don't like golf. You asked me if I like
I
golf.
did.
I'm just not a golfer.
You're not? It's
I don't.
okay.
I don't get it.
You don't get that sport?
But now that my kids are getting
old,
older,
yeah.
maybe I will take it up.
Well, I would suggest taking anything up that your kids will be near you, because eventually they're going to get away from you.
Exactly.
All right, Dave. Now let's talk about, we talked about your lobbying work and your communications and how important it is for people who have a passion to get something done, to get a message across, to move something from the center to the right or whatever it is. You're a lobbyist, you're an advocate. People, if I can explain to you what that means, if you're in a hospital and you're talking to a doctor, you don't know what he's talking about, nothing good is going to happen. But if you got a doctor in between you who can talk to that doctor, or an advocate, then you're going to be really comfortable knowing you're getting the best you can. This is what you do for your clients. You're an advocate towards their purpose.
Absolutely.
And of course, you will not take cases where you have your own morals, because I'm sure people chase you for lots of things.
Well, that's an interesting point, because it's a very interesting point. You can't be such an ideologue and be a lobbyist.
Right.
However, there are a few things that I
don't cross over.
That I don't cross over.
Right.
I don't believe in the death penalty. All right, I just don't. All right, as a prosecutor, I just don't believe in it. Right. So I won't take any cases or lobbying where it's a pro-death penalty.
Right.
That's just an
Right.
example.
Right.
But it's all about advocacy. So look, if you're a good advocate, whether it's being a litigator or a lobbyist, you should be able to argue both sides.
Right.
Okay, you should be able
Right.
to argue your opponent's side better than they could.
You're supposed to know the answer to the question when you ask it, right?
Exactly. So when I try, especially with my criminal law practice, I love trying criminal cases, and I was a prosecutor, so I want to know the prosecutor's case, so I can anticipate every single argument that they're going to make.
It's so true. I feel bad for your kids.
Yeah, well, my kids are doing. They're doing good.
They're fighting
and
back.
They love to argue.
Of course, it's wonderful. So, tell us a little bit about the firm now,
Yeah.
because we have a few more minutes. I want to know about the firm.
Great.
I want to know I want people to know how to get a hold of you. I presume consultations may be courtesy of the firm.
Of course.
Talk to us, and talking to this camera right here on the far right.
Okay. So
Far right.
So we have a very unique firm, a very vibrant firm. So everybody in the firm is sort of like me, a little high strung. We're aggressive. We are known to be a very aggressive firm, and we fight hard for the client. So whether it's the lobbying firm, which is Gotham Government Relations and Communications, and that's GothamGR.com. The GR stands for Government Relations. That's our lobbying firm, and in lobbying work, you have to file with the state or with the federal government. So we keep that separate from the law practice. The lobbying is separate because there's a lot of tools in the tool belt we use which are not necessarily part of a law firm, like public relations, like social media, like like grassroots movements, rallies, press conferences, you name it. We do that because we fight hard for the client, like we did for the taxi cabs, like we've done for so many clients over the years. Separately, we have a litigation firm. That litigation firm is Gerstman Schwartz. That's gerstmanschwartz.com. And we're a general litigation firm. We love criminal law. We have commercial litigation cases. We have First Amendment cases, defamation cases. We've had some high-profile criminal cases and civil cases. So we do a lot of that. And then sometimes the lobbying and the law come together. Like in the taxi cab issue, we're lobbying constantly for them, but we're also suing Uber on many, many cases. In fact, I'm the first attorney in the country to defeat the Uber arbitration clause. Embedded in their contracts, they force everyone to go to arbitration. They've won all over the country on that. We're the first firm in a case in Brooklyn that won on that Uber arbitration clause. So we're very proud of the work we do. Lots of people scratch their heads and they say, well, how do those two go together, lobbying and litigation? They go together because it's all about advocacy. That's the center, is advocacy, whether it's advocacy in the courtroom or advocacy in the halls of the legislature. That is the common theme. Our phone number is 516-880-8170. We have a staff of highly skilled lawyers and lobbyists ready to take on the issue of the day. Whatever the issue of the day is, we've represented cable networks, special needs schools, the beer distributors, you name it, we've represented. We've been in the insurance world.
New York and New Jersey able to practice?
Yes, I'm licensed in New Jersey as well, and in Washington, D.C. So it's New York, New Jersey, and Washington, D.C., and with a focus on New York for sure.
Well, what we're going to try to do is get you some business down here in Philadelphia. Number one, you'll become an Eagles fan because you have to.
Would love it.
And number two, it's a lot cheaper than New York and a lot cheaper than Washington.
Exactly.
And it's in between the two.
Yeah.
How about that?
I love it.
David, I really enjoy having you here. I really enjoy learning about things that we can do for ourselves when we have people like you to help us.
Thank you.
Because some people have really great ideas and great feelings about things that need to be changed and don't know where to go. I want them to come to you. You can't help everybody, but I got to admit, if they start with you, there's a good chance they'll figure it out. So I want you to get a hold of David. Let me just make sure you got that number. It's 516-880-8170. He's there. If not, his staff is there. They'll return your calls. And believe it or not, they're not from the government, and they're here to help.
Yes. Thank you,
Pleasure
Scott.
meeting you.
Thank you.
This is Scott Tanker, host of Breakfast with the Boss, each and every Thursday on rvntv.tv. We have great people like David here who can help us understand things that we don't understand, make our lives a little easier. And I hope to see you each and every Thursday. Have a great week. We'll see you soon.